Hey guys, we're back. This time we're taking a look at another Wave 4 expansion for the World of Tanks miniatures game. This time around it is the US M26 Pershing, and we're going to get right in and take a look. As with all the expansions, inside here there's instructions on how to redeem the codes that are on the back of this little card here. You get you some free stuff if you play the online version of the game, so check it out if you're interested. There's more information in the Wave 1 videos too if you want to see more about it. Here we have our vehicle card for our M26. Up here you can see it's a tier 8 medium for 71 points. 6 firepower, which is just incredible. 2 survivability, 2 mobility, 5 initiative, all pretty average. We have 7 hit points, which is outstanding. It's up there with some of the heavies. And then we have a commander, gunner, driver, radio operator, and loader, so a full set of 5 crewmen there. On the back we have a little bit of history about the tank, and as well as our medium tank ability. When shooting, you can re-roll one of your blank attack dice. Overall, pretty beastly medium. For our upgrades, we have fill the tanks with CO2. It's a generic equipment upgrade for 1 point. Discard this on use. It cancels a lucky hit critical card. For 1 point, you really can't go wrong with this on the chance that you get that lucky hit, which does an automatic 2 damage. Especially on a tank with high hull points, you're bound to take some criticals. If you got an extra point in your build, you'd be silly not to take something like that. Next we have Coated Optics, another generic upgrade for 3 points, and this gives you +1 initiative. Not too bad. 5 initiative isn't terrible, but there's a lot of stuff out there with higher now. It can boost you up a little bit. I think I might use the optics on some other tank with lower, keep the 5, but that's just me. Higher is always better though. Onto our crew upgrades, we have Smooth Ride, which is a basic driver for 8 points. When shooting, treat this tank's movement token as it's 1 less when calculating its the target's defense dice. So basically, one of your moves does not count against you when shooting, but it still benefits you on your defense. So if you were to move 1, it would not affect your shooting at all, where your defense would still be increased by 1 because of your move. If you were to move 2, it only suffers, they get 1 extra die because of your movement, and you still get the +2 dice to your own defense. So kind of a nice, it reminds me of the gung-ho ability that the Americans had in the old version of tanks. Next we have a unique commander, Edwin Crane, American only, 9 points. He gives you Mentor, which is +2 initiative in the movement phase for every 2 crew cards attached to this tank. So you have to have at least 1 other equipped on there to get the bonus for that. And then you have Eagle Eye. When shooting, this tank may roll 1 less attack die and then modify a hit into a crit. So that one's a trade-off. You got this massive gun firing your 6 dice. You roll 1 less die, gives you the 5 die, but 1 of your hits is guaranteed to be swapped into a crit. You also get to re-roll for being a medium tank, so you can re-roll a blank to make sure you get at least a hit in there. Not a bad trade-off, especially on a bigger gun. Overall, he's an okay guy. The +2 initiative, if you have 2 crew, as long as you have 2 crews, worth it. 9 points, again, most of the named crew are a little steep, expensive points-wise, but it's a trade-off. If you're going to make use of it, it might be worth it. And finally, we have another unique crewman, Miles O'Connell, who's a radio operator for 6 points, American only. And he has situational awareness, which is +2 initiative. It's just a flat +2 I like, offense and defense, for movement and shooting, I mean. And then we have Call for Vengeance. When this tank's destroyed, all other tanks in this platoon gain +1 initiative till end of turn. End of next turn, sorry. That's another one. I'm not big on this Call for Vengeance one. I understand what it's there for, and I think it's great. But again, you don't want the tank with that on it dying. You have to lose that tank in order to get the bonus for the other tanks. If you put somebody like this on a light tank, a scout tank, something that's going to be out front, probably get hit, then I see its use. Putting this on a main battle tank, I just don't see... this isn't a main battle tank, but putting this on one of your main mediums or one of your main tanks that are going to be on the line, I just don't see being all that beneficial. The +2 initiative, though, is very nice. I don't know if I'd put that on this tank. And for our model, there's our beastly little tank. I failed to see how this is a medium. Model-wise size, this is exactly the same size as the Tiger. Obviously, it has a little bit less armor, but I don't know if it's just that the models aren't to scale or that it is a big medium. But it does have a big gun, I'll give it that. This was really late World War II. It came in like 1945-ish. It was more of a Korean War tank than a World War II tank. And that's a look at everything that comes in the M26 Pershing expansion. Overall, it is a beast of a medium, but it also comes at a high points cost. This is one of the most expensive tanks in the game. I think the only thing that rivals it is the IS-2 currently. It's more expensive than the Tiger, which is just wrong in my eyes. But the again, the 6 firepower is ridiculously high for a medium. Some of the big heavies only have that. Some of the tank destroyers have 6s, so that's interesting to think about. 7 hit points again. Some of the heavy tanks have 7 hit points. 8 hit points on the Tiger, which is one of the most durable tanks out there. So, is it overpowered? Possibly. The 5 initiative puts it up there too. You can see where the points value is coming for this. The high hull, high crew, high firepower, high initiative, high survivability, and average mobility, but for what everything else is, the amount of armor this thing has and what it's carrying, 2 mobilities expected. I think only the light tanks get 3s, maybe some small tank destroyers, but yeah, you're pretty average on most accounts. The 5 is mid to average. High, I think it's a little bit low for a medium. I want to say they're usually generally higher than that. Not always, but the 6 firepower is definitely high for a medium tank. I like it for what you can do with it. I think it's definitely an interesting choice. It plays the role of a heavy. The amount of hit points it has, the amount of survivability, plus everything else. It's going to play the role of a heavy. I'm not positive the Americans have a heavy yet, so that's going to be their thing. I thought everybody had a heavy in this wave, but I guess not. So it fits into an interesting place in the American platoon where, like I said, I think it's going to take the role of your heavy while not actually being a heavy right now. It is definitely a heavy hitter, and curious to see where it actually falls on the table. I haven't actually seen anybody play this one yet, so I'm just going by stats and thoughts here. A lot of potential in this, but at a very high cost. Would I take this over 2 other tanks? Because you could take 2 Shermans plus some upgrades for the cost of this. And that's the real question. Is this effective enough to equal 2 other tanks plus upgrades? And that's where I'm kind of undecided. Definitely the firepower is up there. And I'm curious to see how that plays out. But at the same time, I'm not sure. I would take this over the option of having 2 smaller tanks that could flank an enemy. Slightly smaller guns. I think you can get the 76 millimeter option on the Sherman. So 2 of those with 76s could outflank and still possibly do as much damage as this. Plus you're getting 2 shots from 2 different angles a turn. It's a real trade-off. And I guess it's going to come down to what you want in your platoon. I will note that it's definitely much more durable than the Sherman, and it can just take some abuse, and that's probably its shining point there. It has a big gun, and it has a lot of armor. So it's up to you to decide if it's something worth adding to your platoon. I'm still on the fence about it, so can't help you much on that one. Anyway, that's going to wrap it up for our look at the M26 Pershing expansion for World of Tanks Miniatures game. As always, thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.